squats. And
if you're in your 30s and 40s and you've had kids and you just don't feel like yourself in the gym anymore, you are absolutely not alone. I'm Alexandria. I'm a licensed counselor and mom who's lost over 40 pounds naturally, and I help women make fitness realistic and not extreme. Today, we're reacting to the women's health video where Olympic gymnast Shawn Johnson East shares her strength building workout being postpartum with 3 kids.
I fell in love with strength training after I retired from gymnastics. Gymnastics was all body weight. I would use a weight vest sometimes or ankle weights, but nothing like Olympic weightlifting. And I needed a change. So found this and have never looked back.
So hearing Shawn talk about weightlifting as kind of becoming her thing is really interesting to me because as someone who has sort of found their way into loving weightlifting too, it's really cool to see just the power and impact that strength training can have on our identity and also on our ability to feel strong and capable and powerful, regardless of how much weight we're lifting. I think it's really interesting the way that by being able to lift heavy things and, jump outside of our comfort zone, how that translates so much into confidence over the course of our lifetime and what we feel like we're able to accomplish. And I just think that's really cool to even see in someone like Shawn Johnson, who is an Olympic level athlete.
So found this and have never looked back. How has my workout changed over time? It has gone through many roller coasters. I was obsessed with working out after the Olympics. I was trying to find a balance. I didn't know how to be a normal workout person. And so I would work out way too much. I would do 4 or 5 workout classes a day. Then I got burnt out, so I didn't work out at all. After I took a very long break, I kind of just built it from the ground up. And now I am just a normal person that works out 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week.
Really interesting for me to hear about her transition from gymnast to what she calls normal person. I still would not call her a normal person. Sorry, Shawn. But it is really interesting because I think a lot of us go through that and it's super relatable, especially if you are a mom. But for her, it was Olympic athlete to non-Olympic athlete. But for many of us, it's sort of this like ghost identity, right? The idea of like not feeling like ourselves anymore, feeling like this former version of ourselves. And many of us go through that in postpartum. I know I certainly did. And I'm sure many of you that are watching who are parents can relate to that. But perhaps maybe for you, it was a career change or some sort of other identity change. But it's really interesting to see the way that weightlifting and strength training can kind of ground you in that new identity. And I think for a lot of us, if you're watching this video, you probably, like me, enjoy exercise. And so I think for many of us, figuring out what works for our body and like finding the like cheat code almost, like figuring it out really has this way of like helping you understand and shift into this new identity. And I also think it's funny to hear her talk about like not being able to find a balance because I feel like that's so true for so many of us. We go through these seasons where we work out too much because we're worried we're not going to do like enough of the right things. And it's very much about like finding that balance. And I think once you do, you've kind of like hit the jackpot, right? When you figure out what your balance of real life and exercise looks like in a way that feels good without completely burning you out, like I feel like that is like worth its weight in gold, right? Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of no nonsense content where I take fitness in real life and I make it applicable for regular women like us, then make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos like this one, as well as lots of other useful and helpful content from a therapist and gym rat.
Strong. My current fitness goals: to feel strong, to hear my kids say, "Mommy, I want to go jump on the trampoline. I want to go for a run. I want to go ride bikes," and not ever have a second thought about it.
Today, what a cool feeling it is to, I don't know why this is cool for me, but maybe it's cool for you too. You'll have to let me know. But I feel like it's such a relatable idea, this sort of like striving to be like the best version of ourselves as a parent, because I know for a lot of us, myself included, like this for me started as a very like aesthetic, I want my life back, I want my body back sort of thing. But over time, it really has transformed into like, I want to be the version of a parent that can deadlift my kid if he fell on the ground and can't get up, right? Or the version who can carry them around Disney World if their feet get too tired. And having the strength and stamina to be able to do that. And even to the extent of like becoming a grandparent that can do, maybe not exactly the same thing, but be a grandparent that can be super functional in that way. And so I think it's really interesting to see that even, again, a former gymnast athlete of this level her goals have now pivoted to striving for those longevity goals too. And I think that's really where the shift happens in our brain, right? When it's an identity piece, it's who we are as a person rather than just what we do, it's who we are. And so I think it's really important to take not only from Shawn, but other women too, of like, what are we doing to make this a lifestyle for ourselves and become part of our identity rather than just like what we do.
My workout today is going to be a little bit random, but full body workout, dumbbells, barbell. I'll probably do some pull-ups, some box jumps, and a handstand or two. So let's do it. I'm going to do one of my favorite circuits. You can either start with it or finish with it. It's usually a finisher for me, and I do a high pull, I do an RDL to snatch, I do bent over row, squat press, and then RDL to snatch again. And you do it all together. You can do anywhere from 4 reps of everything to 10. That would be extreme. And you do a few sets of it.
So looking at this like workout here, sort of my initial impressions of it, I kind of want to give you that before we like actually try it for ourselves. Because it's an interesting sort of, she talks about it as like a finisher or like a starter. So obviously this probably is not her full workout. I would imagine she does like some compound lifts in between. Because this mechanically is more of like a power-based conditioning finisher. You know, you're cycling through hinging and pulling and explosive movements. So things like your glutes, your hamstrings, your upper back, and your core are getting a ton of work without long rests in between. And so you will notice that your heart rate spikes in sort of that cardio way, but your muscles are burning like strength training. So it's not really designed for max strength. That happens probably earlier in a workout, like I said, when you're fresher, lifting heavier. But it's also not traditional cardio either because you're not doing like steady repetitive movements. So it's really more about training the ability to, you know, stay explosive while you're tired and a bit more of that sort of movement instead. So that's my impression. That's what I expect I will notice. It feels a little more like, to put it in like layman's terms, it feels a bit more to me like a dumbbell hit sort of finisher. But there's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on like what you're training. And obviously, you know, with Shawn, she is a power athlete. So it makes sense that she would enjoy these kinds of things. And I enjoy them too. So, okay, so now it is time for me to get my butt out of this chair and go show you the finisher. And then we need to take a little field trip to the gym for those box jumps and pull-ups because your girl cannot do those here. And then later, I'm going to need a spot for the handstands because your girl is not trying to like blow out her back. It just, no. Even as a former gymnastics athlete myself. So let me move some things around so we can do that. Okay, so yeah. So based on like, again, being kind of like power moves, I would guess that we're looking at like probably like 15 to 20 pound weights. I couldn't really tell in her video what she was using. I'm going to go with 15s today. One of the challenges I feel like with this kind of thing is that you can't go your max heavy weight, right? Like if you're doing a bent over row, right? 15 pounds is not my max weight for a bent over row. You're looking at more like 35, maybe even 40 pounds for a bent over row. Whereas with this way, because you're doing things like snatches and stuff, you have to go lighter. So that is one of my sort of like challenges, or one of the things I don't really like about this style of training and why I wouldn't do it exclusively. All right, we got a high pull. She said 4 reps of a high pull. And then she said RDL to snatch. Again, not my max weight on an RDL. So 2, 3, 4. Then we do bent over row. 2, 3, 4. Then we do the squats press. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then back to those RTL. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I could do this for a little bit, but I won't take up your time on it because my opinion hasn't changed. It is very much, again, power cardio, kind of like I expected it to be. And a great finisher, absolutely. But I wouldn't do this as like my entire workout all the time. Maybe like once in a while, this could be a good like pick up and go 20 minutes if you're trying to like get a full body sweat. As you can tell, it's definitely like raising my heart rate. So I still sound stuffy. Sorry. All right.
That's it. Have I always been comfortable in physical gyms? No. I had like an identity crisis in a gym after I retired from gymnastics. I was so used to being in a gymnastics arena, and I had a coach who told me exactly what to do every day. So when I first walked into a gym, I didn't know how to lift a weight. I didn't even know how to put together a workout. And it was so intimidating. One day I finally said, I'm tired of feeling this way. So I worked with Nike, and they actually taught me and got me certified as a trainer back in the day. No longer certified. It was a great educational kind of journey for me.
Wow. I mean, again, I feel like she's just such a relatable human. I really like her if you can't tell. But I think it's really interesting to hear someone, even an Olympic level athlete, talk about their anxiety of being at the gym. Like, how validating is that to hear a person who comes from a, Olympic gold gymnastics background say, like, yeah, I felt anxious going to the gym for the first time and trying to lift a pair of weights and not feeling like I was knowing what I was doing. And I think, again, like I see with most of the people that I talk to about this, and also from my own personal experience, learning about it really helped give me a lot more confidence. Going into the gym with a plan of action and knowing what to expect from my workout, not just like kind of guessing as I was going, helped me a lot to figure out what I was going to do. And I think it sounds like for Shawn, that was also kind of a similar experience. So none of us are immune to gym anxiety is sort of the point. And I think especially as a therapist, that's kind of fascinating for me to think about, an elite level athlete even feeling this way. So I'm glad she and hopefully you have found your way through gym anxiety. But if you haven't, I have a video about gym anxiety that I did, a while back that I'll link for you in case you'd want to watch more about overcoming gym anxiety.
Okay, loves. It's time to head to the gym. Let's go. Let's see how this goes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very nervous. Box jumps are very unforgiving.
Hello, stranger. How are you?
That's wonderful. I love your pictures. I love your little boy.
Oh, I mean, he's a hoot, man. I'll tell you what.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
I can't believe I did 5 chin-ups. I know chin-ups and pull-ups are not the same thing, but she said she did chin-ups, so I did chin-ups. I couldn't believe I could do them because I've not attempted them in many, many years. So I'm pretty impressed with my back strength that I was able to do that. I don't think I could do pull-ups, though. I attempted a pull-up. I should have gotten video footage of it, but I didn't. But I'm pretty proud of the pull-ups I was able to do, the chin-ups I was able to do. As far as the box jump goes, I mean, you saw for yourself, like, I couldn't even clear the 10-inch lower box than Shawn, and she's probably my height. I'd have to look it up. I don't make 5 feet, but I don't think she does either. She might be 5'1", but we're similar builds. But she also has hip mobility that I don't possess as a gymnast. So I'm going to give myself some grace on that. I think the thing about chin-ups, and she says she supersets those with squats, so that would probably be extremely challenging. I look like a clown in this light, but I think the thing is that I don't have a problem with box jumps, but box jumps are very unforgiving because if you're not careful, you can land on your arse very easily. So it's much easier to get hurt that way. So, if you're thinking about doing something like that, by all means, just proceed with caution is what I'll say. So, all right, I'm going to drive home now.
So what are kind of the key takeaways here from this video? So Shawn definitely has some powerful moves, including things like box jumps or pull-ups. But as for me, it's going to be probably pretty tough unless you have access to a full-blown garage gym. Obviously, I don't here, and that's why we had to go to the gym. So, I think those can be tough to do, but I think there are some powerful moves in there. And like I said, I think that little finisher there could make for a great full body workout. It's just not something that I would do all the time. And I'm realizing I forgot my wedding rings. No, there's no problem. I just took it off washing the dishes. Just FYI, I don't want anybody to freak out. I'm going to go put it back on. But, in saying that though, I think the crucial piece here is the mindset piece, right? The realizing that even Olympic gold medalists can struggle with gym anxiety and getting strong and powerful again. And so I think normalizing that and taking that with us, knowing that we too can be strong and powerful and rebuild our bodies if we want to, maybe even to a better or stronger version of ourselves than we once were in a different set of identities. And I think the other big takeaway too is scale it, right? Like if you want to do pull-ups, by all means, rock on with that. Or if you want to do box jumps, by all means, scale it to what feels good for you. And so I'd love to know what of these feel right for you. And if you love this kind of content, I'm going to send you over to my cutting my workouts in half for 30 days. That was an interesting little experiment I did a few weeks ago. So click here to check that one out and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't so already. And I'll catch you next one. Bye, friends.
Okay, so the show must go on. I am suddenly sick with a sinus infection. My husband's going to help me, but we got to do the handstand. My cold turned into a sinus infection. I love that for me. Okay, so let's do this, and we hope I don't die. The other day he was like, are you sure you should be doing this? He seems to have changed his perspective on that, or he's lying, one of the two. Doesn't really matter. All right, let's see how we do here. All right. All right.
I know that you know how to do a headstand.
I'm doing a headstand. I'm supposed to be doing a handstand.
Oh, I don't know if you know how to do that either.
Okay, go that way. And it sort of used the wall.
Oh, hey, look at you. Push up.
I don't think I can get off the wall.
Do you need help?
I don't think I can back up, to be off the wall. I can get to the wall, but I can't back up. So yeah, I'm certainly no Shawn Johnson. We're not really surrounded by this, but the fact that I can get to the wall, I'll call a win. So, all right.